What's up, guys? Welcome to my podcast today. Today we have Jonathan Jones, JJ. We actually met down in Arizona, right, for our first retreat with Pace Morby and Jamil, right?
Yeah,
That was an amazing retreat. I
it
met
was. It was something special.
so many cool people, man. I'm talking like I came back and you were one of the ones that I spoke to. We actually had this planned for what, maybe about a month ago,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Had to
About a month ago.
reschedule last minute. Yeah,
Yeah. But hey, listen, we're getting it done. That's awesome. So I appreciate you taking the time on a Saturday at that, right?
yeah.
So
Glad to do it.
yeah, thank you, man. So we met and we said, you know what, that we got to connect, man. Right? We got to connect. So I know that you're a pharmacist, right? You're married to your
Yep.
beautiful wife for like 18 years, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Just
Got
celebrated 18 years together.
beautiful, beautiful. So how many kids do you have,
So we've got two kids. We've got
right?
a girl. She's our oldest. She's 11, and then our son is 6. And
Six.
yeah, so they're in school now, and of course they got the Saturday morning off, but they they weren't ready for summer to be quite done. But they're getting it back into the routine.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And the missus, she's going out with some friends, right? This morning.
Well, no, she's uh our daughter's going out with some friends.
Your daughter's going.
Uh yeah, yeah, my son is still going to be around, and so she's helping watch my son this morning while we get to do this.
Okay, perfect, beautiful. That's awesome. All right, so you said you were with your wife for 18 years, just celebrated. Congratulations. I think that's beautiful, right? So, like, how did you guys meet?
So we met in college. That she's from out of state, from Ohio,
Okay,
and I'm born and raised in Tennessee. And so I went to Nashville for college. She's a couple years younger, so I'm about halfway or so through school, and then here comes this other woman, Michelle, that she started school there in Nashville at Lipscomb University, and that's where we met. We had some mutual friends, ended up having lunch together, and kind of just got to know each other from there.
that's it. Then she got lucky.
I think I'm the one that got lucky.
That's funny. That's awesome. That's cool, man. All right, cool. So she's from Ohio. You're originally from Tennessee, correct?
Yeah,
And she's originally from Ohio.
yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
The Columbus, Ohio area, Lancaster is the town that she's from.
Gotcha. So she took the leap of faith and it ended up benefiting the both of you guys, right?
Yeah,
You got two beautiful kids, got a family, got a business going also, right?
yeah,
Because you do own your you own your pharmacy business and you guys she helps you run it, correct?
right. Yeah.
Gotcha, perfect. All right, so let's talk about that, right? Like, what inspired you to pursue your pharmacy?
Um, well, I grew up around it. That actually the previous owner was my parents. Actually,
Oh,
when I bought the pharmacy, it was buying my parents' practice, and so that's I'd kind of been around it my whole life, but it took me a while before I really came around to the idea of really going into pharmacy. For a long
got
time, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and then I got to see a little bit more of what some of them do, and decided that wasn't for me.
no, why?
Well, so the one I was at, I got to, like I said, do a few shadow days, and it was another local vet clinic here in town. And I mean, some of the surgeries and stuff, okay, those were just a little bit I saw was kind of bloody and not necessarily my thing. But the really bad part was when they had to incinerate the dead animals, or whichever ones were like getting cremated. And that was probably the worst thing I've smelled ever. So that turned me off pretty quickly.
Oh, wow. Damn. Okay. Shit. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I definitely see why you would do it. I mean, having to smell something as that bad, I have to smell dead bodies, here and there, but that's not often, you know?
yeah,
Like, I think I five my whole career, as a firefighter, but having to do that on a maybe not on a daily basis, but more routinely, yeah, I think that definitely would get to me. Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha. So, like, what was your journey like going into pharmacy? Like, how much schooling is that? Like how critical is that?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it is a long schooling because it's a doctorate level program. So I did my undergraduate work, uh, and that's where my wife and I met at Lipscomb. And I actually did my pharmacy school at the University of Tennessee. Uh, and so that was another 4 years just for pharmacy school.
Wow.
And I took the long path. I did my undergraduate. You didn't necessarily have to graduate, but there were certain classes you had to have completed. But I did do 5 years of undergrad and then pharmacy school. So I did 9 years altogether of college and pharmacy school.
9 years?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man. Okay, so um, my assumption is, did you had some grants to help you pay for all that stuff, some scholarships or whatnot, or did you have to come out of pocket for that?
Um, some of both. I did have some scholarships as part of the undergrad schooling, but that didn't go through the entire 5 years there. Uh, and so then the other part was out of pocket. I was very fortunate that my parents were able to help with that.
Awesome.
There was part that I was responsible to pay, but compared to the cost of school, it was very minimal. That I was really in a blessed situation to be able to do that and not come out with a huge amount of debt that so many do afterward. Like I said, still had some, but not compared to what many people do.
Wow, dude, that's crazy. So I know a little bit about pharmacy because my sister is actually a pharmacist herself,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah, she did it for a little bit. Actually, no, I lied. So she was going to pharmacy, and she switched midway through,
okay,
and it was like I remember I was like, okay, she's pharmacy. Like, no, she's doing her nurse. She did her nurse practitioner because the pharmacy was too long. She was actually going
yeah,
to was at the University of Tampa, right? So she did like one
okay,
semester, and she was like, "Oh no, this is going to take longer than expected," you know. So when you mentioned 9 years, I'm like, "Oh my god." Yeah, she was going to the pharmacy, and she quickly changed because she's like, "This is going to be too long for me." She already had done nursing for some time, you know.
yeah,
So she's like, I got to do something else as opposed to just nursing, and being a bedside nurse. So she looked into it. She did a year, and then she switched to become a nurse practitioner. And she's happy now, you know.
good.
So, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All right. So your parents were both of your parents pharmacists?
No, just my dad was a pharmacist. My mother, her background was actually in nursing.
Okay.
Um, but when my dad bought the practice here in Hohenwald, Tennessee, that she started helping kind of manage some of the front end side of the store and do the bookkeeping, and essentially that's what my wife and I have mirrored. That now, I'm the pharmacist, leading the day to day of the pharmacy, and then my wife does the front end and the bookkeeping, accounting side. So that part's worked pretty good, I guess, as a transition. That there's kind of already those separated roles.
Gotcha. Okay. So your wife went to school for what?
She studied business management.
Business manager. So
That
that transitions into her helping you run the business then, the
yeah,
financial sides and stuff like that. Okay, that's awesome. That's perfect. Ah, you
yeah.
got lucky.
She started out studying accounting and
Yeah.
decided to switch into business management. So she understands the books pretty well. That definitely blessed to have somebody who kind of has that level of knowledge to be doing that for us.
Gotcha, gotcha. What do you find most rewarding in what you do as a pharmacist?
I mean, for me, I like the people.
Yeah.
Um, it's both the biggest blessing and the biggest challenge. It's sometimes whether you're, you be trying to help somebody, and some people may not care or they get angry if something uh can't be done just the way they want it.
Yeah.
But other times people, they'll just kind of stop and pause and say, hey, you know what? I know you're working hard and I really appreciate what you're doing. And that you went that extra mile to, help get my medicine needs taken care of. And so that's, I think, what I like most, is being able to help the people. And then especially when you have that moment that they kind of stop and acknowledge
Yeah.
what the hard work you've put into it.
That's awesome, brother. That's freaking awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So, what made you, just like say, you know what? I want to transition into getting into real estate investing. Like, what was it like? You just woke up one day and was like, you know what? I'm gonna go start doing some investing. Like, how
Well,
did you?
we had actually looked at buying other pharmacy locations first. That we thought, well, hey, if we've got one, why don't we stay with this? Let's expand. Let's get some other pharmacies or build a new location, something like that. We really had primarily looked at buying another practice. Uh, One of the things that's, I guess, was sort of like a turning moment was we were in a class. They called it like a cash flow class. It was focused on better understanding the bookkeeping and accounting within pharmacy. But then they had a second day. It was a 2-day class. The second day, they had Tom Wheelwright come on, who is the expert CPA, does the uh, accounting for Robert Kiyosaki, who's a huge real estate investor.
Yeah.
So he came on and he was talking about, what can you do right now in your business to help save money? And that was tremendously helpful. But then he also started talking to them some about, having, like businesses and real estate being a couple of the best ways to save on taxes. And so having a good income, we also had a good chunk of taxes we were paying with that. So we said, well, hey, you know what? If we can save on some of this could really be a huge help for us. And so that's kind of what started us down the real estate journey, is when we looked at a couple of pharmacies, but then also we're just trying to, I guess, better streamline our current practice, because it was hard to uh, keep good staff in place. It's something that's, I think ever since COVID hit, there's so many people that are like, have these signs out hiring, positions open, whatever. And we've suffered from a lot of that too. So trying to keep the right people has been a challenge. So we wanted something that was going to be more passive. And that's why
Gotcha.
we ultimately decided real estate was going to be our better option, where we could still get some income, maybe not as much as what a business might bring in,
Hmm.
but we would have the option to have it be a lot more passive and hands off compared to actually running another full business, or another pharmacy.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So I mean, that actually makes so much sense, right? Because you got your hands tied with the business, right? Helping clients, helping customers, and whatnot, and then you get another one, right? Now you got two that you got to manage,
Right.
right? Yeah, as opposed to having, a property. One, you get like the tax benefits, right? Tax write-offs, right? You get the depreciation, appreciation, the cash flow of their sum, right? So yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So how do
Yeah.
you think your pharmacy career, right? Um, has that helped you in any way uh, in your real estate investing career?
I think so. So definitely, I think, just with the, uh, you know, it, with my, pharmacy practice, it is, like I said, just kind of a little mom and pop retail pharmacy. So I'm dealing with people frequently, and I think it's really helped me to learn to listen. You know, as Pace Morby likes to say, to find the bunnies, find, what is the real problem,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and whether we're talking about, somebody who just has no clue what's going on with their medicine, or you have somebody who is, upset about the way something was handled. A lot of times I'm able to come in, keep a level head and a calm mind, and just start asking, okay, hey, well, tell me what happened, what's going on, and kind of coupling, I guess, problem solving with just having that high touch people skills, and interacting with people, and just trying to find, you know I can't always give somebody exactly what they want, but I think we can almost always come to a compromise to uh, find something that I can do still to help, or if it's something that we're just not allowed to do, I can try to at least explain why.
Yeah,
And sometimes that alone goes a long way. Is sometimes a lot of the frustration can come out of just lack of understanding.
yeah. So I could definitely see that. It's funny because in my W-2, I it has helped me, but at the same time, it has hindered me also, right? Because one, we deal with sick patients all the time, and the sick patient isn't the problem, at least in my career. What I see in my career is we deal with a lot of what's it called? People with alcohol issues, you know, drug issues and stuff like that. So we get, it is what it is, but we get, what's it called, stressed out a lot because it's a lot of the
Yeah,
same BS, the same old people, right? So that kind of like I would say maybe 70% of our calls are that, right? And then the other 30% are people that actually need us, right? So
yeah,
it has helped me in in a way, but also too it has hindered me in a way also, right? So I could definitely see you because you have like a very um uh chill, relaxed demeanor, you know, like the way you speak. I could definitely see people just kind of like, you know, okay, he cares. He has this caring, voice, that he wants to know. So that's awesome. You know, that's really cool. All right, cool. So what would you say? Um, I guess has been, I guess, the most challenging part, right, from going from pharmacist to real estate investor.
um, well, it's kind of been, I guess, a gradual transition. That I'm not full time in real estate. I'm still full time in pharmacy, and kind of dabbling in real estate, so to speak. Wanting to grow my real estate involvement and career. But it's just been, I think, trying to find the time and balance the time, and you know, and not just the time between one business and the other, but also still try to have some family time in there as well. Uh, that's that's been, I think, the ultimate challenge to figure out, where can I make a sacrifice and where do I need to have a boundary and say that no, okay, I'm not going to be doing either side of work, whether you're talking pharmacy or real estate during a certain time so that I can be more present.
I could definitely agree with that. So I mean, this is what I did. Um, when I did have my child living with me, right, younger. Um, it's you got your pharmacy, you got the business that the other business you're trying to build. You have your kids, you have your wife, right? So what I would do is I would um on my calendar I would plan it, right? I would literally
Yeah.
sit with my kid and say, hey, when this week are we going to hang out? You know, because it was something important. And then it got to a point where she would come to me and she would say, hey, Dad, this Saturday I want to hang out with my friends, but Sunday we could chill, you know? And it
Okay.
was it was in our calendar, you know? Like it's so true. Like you have to be, intentional with it. Like you have to because if not, you're not gonna do it. Then you're going to, what everything's gonna basically be sacrificed, right? Sacrifice the work that you're doing on real estate, right? So that's gonna be like, you're doing it, but what are you really doing, right? It's not really working, right? And then you start sacrificing the time with your kids. Then you start sacrificing the time with the wife. So to me, like, and I still do it to this day. Like everything that I do is written down on my calendar, But it's
Yeah.
something that's so hard to get used to because you just, for the most part, we just flow through the day. All right, I know I gotta go to work and then do whatever else I gotta do throughout the day, whatever pops up, right? But like when you're more intentional with it, right? Okay, well, at this time, I know that I gotta make phone calls. You know, on Saturday, I know that I'm not doing anything for the next we're all day because I'm hanging out with my kids. You know, so that's something that helped me greatly. You know, like
Yeah.
write it down and said, telling my kids, this is what we are going to do. We're going to sit down and we're going to figure out what day we're going to hang out. And then they actually see that you're 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 doing stuff for them, right? For the relationship, you know. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And then they take it with them too. You're like, oh, I remember Dad doing this stuff, and then they start getting into it. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll help you any, but I know it helped me a lot, greatly. You know. So yeah. All right, cool. So like, how did your family react? How did your wife react when you're like, hey, listen, I want to get into real estate? Like, what did the wife say? What did the kids say? What did your mom and dad say?
Sure. I mean, the kids didn't really say much. My wife, Michelle, she was a little resistant at first. So it kind of took a few times of kind of talking through what we're looking at. And so really when we started, of course, you and I met, as you say, like through Owners Club and Pace Morby. But we didn't start here. We started with something that we actually were looking at some websites that have some kind of more turnkey opportunities
Okay.
where you buy a home that has most of them have either been a new build or recently refurbished, and you buy the home, and then they already have like a property manager in place to help rent it out for you. And so that's what we went with for our first deal. Was we wanted something that was just very passive because we knew we needed to still focus on the pharmacy.
Okay. So you were looking at basically turnkey properties,
Yeah,
right? Gotcha, gotcha. And did you buy any of those?
we did.
You
Yeah,
did?
that was our first purchase was one of those turnkey properties. There's a couple different sites we had looked at. Uh, Norada and Rent to Retirement. Those were the main two. I think there was, I don't know, probably about three others that we looked at a little bit, but those were the two that we looked at the most. And we ended up buying one of those properties listed with those sites.
Okay, okay. And what? Then these are what long term rentals, pad splits.
Yeah, so it's a long-term rental.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, and so that one, it's actually down somewhat near you. It's in Florida.
What?
Yeah, a little outside of Kissimmee and Orlando, kind of southwest of there, going towards Tampa, in Ponciana, Florida. That one was a new build, and we looked at it and we sort of knew that it's not going to be making much, if any, cash flow starting out. So it's kind of just been about a break even on the cash flow,
Okay.
but uh, we like the area for appreciation, and
Okay.
so we're hoping that it will go up over the next few years. I think when we ended up buying, I guess kind of our one of your journey is your journey. Sometimes you look back and you think, oh, it would have been nice if we would have done X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
But still, it's gotten you to where you are, right? Same thing for me. We kind of knew we wanted to do real estate, but then we hesitated before we actually bought. And during that time, the interest rates were going up. So instead of having like a 3 or 4% interest rate, we got one that was just barely under 6%. Uh, but again, that's part of it. At least we got started. Um, but also with some of that, some of the home prices were a little inflated in certain areas.
Hmm.
So I think the value, I don't think it's really actually appreciated this first year. It may have actually gone down a hair in value, but still, we think the long term is going to pay off on that property.
I mean, knowing Kissimmee, yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure. So see, you mentioned something that like, because I've had the same issue, for I think for the most part for everything that I've done, especially honestly more so in real estate, right? Just that fear, right? And that fear basically just kind of cripples you from doing anything,
Yeah,
right? And it's like, okay, well, okay, if you lose, you still learn something, right? Even if you lose, you still learn something. I mean, the only time you really lose is when you don't learn anything from it, right? It's like, okay, well, you took the chance, you bought something, it may have depreciated a little bit, right? But you still have a property that you did something, that you learned something, that, okay, now you can take that to the next one and say, okay, well, I know how to run my numbers better, right? I know what areas to look at better, right? I know, just everything about it. With my couple properties that I have, I'm like, I didn't make, a killing on them, right? I actually lost on some, but I'm like, you know what? I know what to look for the next time. So, dude, I commend you. I think that's awesome. You know, because everyone thinks about, it's like, oh yeah, you buy real estate, you're gonna win on every little deal that you do. You know, like you're not. Like you're seriously not. You know. So one of the things that I did um, is I lent money for the first time last year, and I was so scared. Dude, I was scared to lend money. I was like, I'm trusting somebody else with a couple thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
I'll get this back. You know, and now I've done a couple, right? And now I'm like, okay, I feel much safer now. I know what I'm doing now, right? I know what to ask for. I have an attorney that I built a relationship with, and now I feel like I'm literally making money out of lending money now. But it's like that first time you're so scared, but then you just basically build off of that, and you build. To me, honestly, the biggest thing that I built was the relationship, right?
yeah,
Because now
sure, that's
I
huge.
literally lent to that same guy again for a better return, you know. I lent to him the first time, and I was like, listen, dude, I just want to build a relationship with you. You know, I want to learn. It's like, all right, cool. First things first. First lesson is like, you don't want to lend at this percent. It's like, it's too low. I'm like, lesson learned. You know. So
Yeah,
fast forward, I lend him again, and he's like, okay, you learned. You learned. He's like, this is a good rate. I'm like, perfect, right? So now I literally have someone that I can lend to recurringly, right? And now I can make some pretty good returns lending to him. And I much rather lend to somebody that's safe or someone that I know, you know. So yeah, man, I think that's super cool that you took the chance. So it's you bought in Florida. So basically, you're an out of state owner, right? Buying properties wherever it makes sense, I guess, right? That's cool. So this property here, you have it rented long term, and this was a new build, correct?
correct.
Gotcha, gotcha. So what made you say here, Florida, here, Kissimmee, here, this single family home, long term rental? Like,
Yeah, so I mean, as far as the long-term rental side, that's basically just what they kind of show or propose on the those turnkey sites that I was looking at. You know, I I wasn't really even familiar with ideas like the midterm rental or pad split or co-living at that time. Uh, but also, I mean, I think it's kind of helpful too because ultimately when we look at so many different deals, we always want to make sure that the long-term rental deal can make sense.
yeah,
Even though if that may not be the primary exit strategy, to at least have an idea if you have to fall back to that, where's that going to land you?
yeah,
Um, as far as why the area. Again, we've been to Kissimmee, Orlando multiple times, and Disney World and Universal. So we like that area. Like to visit that area. So we even thought, well, hey, maybe if there's some time between renters, that maybe we could take a quick trip down and
yeah,
go stay a week or something. That could be nice.
yeah,
Uh, but also, just a lot of it was with those big facilities there, that we just feel like it's going to be an area that continues to grow and continues to have a lot of tourism, and with that, people have to be able to work all those facilities. So I think there's still going to be a good pull for the job market.
yeah. No,
Uh,
for sure. Especially Kissimmee. Like I know Kissimmee very well. You got Orlando, all these parks there. People are moving there like crazy. Like there's a lot of Spanish folks that live up there. Like a lot.
sure.
Yeah, a lot. So yeah, it's definitely growing. I mean, it's crazy because it grew and it's still growing. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
geez. So, what was your wife's reaction when you said, "Yeah, we're gonna buy a property in Florida"?
Yeah, well, I mean, she actually had to help with some of that. When we were looking at some of the different opportunities, that she kind of helped whittle down which ones we would look at more closely. Um, and then when we finally found that one and chose it, she was definitely on board by that point. Uh, and and again, one of the just big driving factors for us was, what involvement is it going to require from us so that we're not taking away more time from the family or from the other business. Uh, so that part she was pretty much sold on by the time we said we found that property, uh, that she was willing to take that leap.
Gotcha, gotcha. So this property is being managed professionally, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, gotcha. So basically, it's hands off.
Right.
That's
Yeah, I'd
good.
say
That's
one of the just thinking back for a moment, as far as what was one of the challenging parts with Michelle. So I mentioned buying the property at that point wasn't necessarily a big deal. I think the hard sell for her was earlier in the process. Back a couple years prior when we decided we wanted to get into real estate, um, we started looking at, well, how would we pay for it? And we were pretty fortunate. We had bought our home, our primary residence in 2011. I'm sorry, no, 2012, and it had appreciated quite a bit. And we grew up, you know, even early on with our marriage and after getting out of school, we wanted to try to set ourselves up, for a good financial future in retirement one day. But we both grew up very much with the Dave Ramsey background and mindset. And uh, while I mean, I think that's great and that's a great place. I think that people really need to often start their understanding of, you know, good debt. I mean, not good debt, but that high interest debt like credit cards is bad. You know,
hmm
paying off all, these high interest loans is an important thing, but also having a little bit of a nest egg, so get your emergency fund, figure out a budget. I think those are going to be pretty crucial for no matter what you want to do.
yeah,
Um, but then we pivoted from, instead of trying to just put cash back into a bank that was hardly getting any interest at all, or we had some, in some mutual funds that, sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down. We wanted, to shift. So it was a hard sell to get Michelle on board with the idea of good debt, bad debt, and being able to do the cash out refinance on our residence, which is what we ultimately did.
okay.
Uh, so that way we had this new cash and equity that we could redeploy to start the investing.
So let me ask you this. So before you got into all the real estate stuff and you were just doing pharmacy, did you know anything about the cash out refinance? Did you hear about any?
No,
No.
no,
How
yeah,
many?
it was like I said, our goal at that point, we had, I think our home was initially set up, I think, on a 20-year amortization, and we were throwing extra money into that pretty regularly. So we actually had it on schedule to pay off after about 12 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so we were, I don't know, maybe like whatever, 4 years or so away from uh,
Paying it
from
off?
paying off our home, which also, I
Wow.
mean, it still would have been a great financial thing.
Yeah.
That would be really great, but we felt this could help kind of multiply that return.
Yeah.
Um,
Of course, dude. Now you got two homes. You know,
right.
both of them paying themselves down. Oh man, that's awesome. It's just crazy because I hear so many people. Yeah, I got all this equity in my house. Okay, so what? What are you doing with it? You know, like what are you really doing with it? How about go buy another property like you did? You took a chance on
Yeah.
yourself. It's like, well, now I got two properties. They're both literally paying each other themselves off. A couple years, get another one. You know, or whatever. You just get another one whenever you can. Dude, that's freaking awesome. That's freaking awesome. Yeah, man. I try to talk to so many people about it, like, oh, but what about this and what about that? What about the interest? I don't want to lose my interest rate. I'm like, so what? You got another property. As long as it pays, it can pay itself off. What's the problem? But it's so hard because it's like it's they don't know, right? What they don't know, especially like you were saying, like the Dave Ramsey. Like now, knowing better, like I understand what good debt is. You know, like but before it was like, oh, pay everything cash, pay everything cash. You don't want to owe anything, like the whole Dave Ramsey thing. And I'm like, but you're right. It's similar to have someone start that isn't financially literate because they don't teach us any of this in school,
Right.
right? Dude, my first car that I bought, like my father, you know, really wasn't around, unfortunately. But I ended up paying, dude. I think I got my interest rate at like an 8-9% on a,
Wow.
dude. I was like, and now I'm moving like after I paid it off, I'm like, what was I doing? Didn't know, man. Like the importance of knowing these things, right?
Yeah.
It was like, oh my god, I would have never bought that car. You know? Jeez,
Yeah.
man. But yeah, it is what it is, man. Now I could teach my kid. So I taught my kid. We bought her a car, taught her how to look at the finances, taught her what interest rates are, and this and that, and blah blah blah. Right? So it was cool. It was a lesson learned, and I was able to pass it down to my kid. That not all debt is bad debt. You know.
Right.
So yeah, so that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. So we touched on basically your first deal, right?
Yep.
Pretty cool. We touched on managing work, work life, real estate investing life, and family, right? We also touched on your career as a pharmacist, how you got into it and whatnot, right? So what's it called? Next question for you is, what is your Mount Everest?
Sure. I've kind of been torn. When we first went to the spring immersion retreat, we kind of had two sides of it. One side being related to the pharmacy, the other side being related to real estate investing. And Pace was sort of like, hey, for a true Everest, you've got to pick one thing. And so as my wife and I talked about it more, we sort of decided, okay, we're going to let her focus on the real estate and acquiring more properties, which actually be beneficial to us in the long run, uh, so that she can claim real estate professional.
Yeah.
Because right now we're not getting to capture some of the depreciation and tax benefits that we had first hoped for. That was that was a big lesson learned.
What?
Um, yeah, yeah. That if I can take a short side
Yeah,
little
please.
tangent here, chase this rabbit. Uh, because it's something when we hear so much about when people are talking about real estate, getting to you get the appreciation, the cash flow, they're paying down your debt, uh, and also like that depreciation and getting to count that against your income. It's like, well, hey, that sounds great. We've got a high income, we want to save. If we were paying, let's say, 30% in taxes, if we could save 30% of however much depreciation we get to claim, that'd be significant.
Yeah.
So we bought that first turnkey property that we just talked about. And then as we learned a little bit more later in the year, and talking with our accountant, he says, "Oh no, you don't qualify because of uh, the income limits. They have, if your adjusted gross income is over 150,000 between, since my wife and I filed together, 150,000 together, then we don't get to claim that." Now, I wish I had 150,000 going into the bank. I don't. Like I said, we have the pharmacy, so a lot of our kind of quote unquote profit each year is actually where we're paying down the debt on the pharmacy.
Hmm.
And so I mean, we still get paid when we're set up as an S corp, so we pay ourselves through the pharmacy. Um, but yeah, kind of when we first were getting into this, and we're thinking, hey, we're going to get all these extra tax benefits that right now we don't qualify. And so, at least not for all of it. We have since acquired a short-term rental that I think we will be able to claim uh, enough material participation. to get the benefits on it. But uh, yeah, this thing that we kept hearing being promoted and we're kind of relying on, uh, turns out we didn't get to capture that, at least not yet. But hopefully, as we grow and as Michelle gets to do more, that she will be a real estate professional and we'll get the full benefits, even against our active income instead of just passive income and passive losses offsetting each other.
Okay, okay. So is it that you're not getting the full benefit because she's not quote unquote a real estate professional? Or is it that you're not getting it because of the certain requirements of, hey, you're making too much money so you can't, collect on that depreciation?
Right. So basically, because of that income ceiling, um, that that's why we're not allowed to claim it yet. But there are ways around that, and
Yeah.
one of those is to be a real estate professional. Another one that's very common is if you're self-managing the property, then you get to claim, those benefits against your active income. Uh, and sometimes with like short-term rental properties, especially if you're doing enough active participation, material participation, you may be able to claim it. And so that's, um, but basically, once she's able to qualify as a real estate professional, which has its own set of requirements, then we'll be able to help. So right now, like for starting out our depreciation, we still get to claim the depreciation, but it only is offsetting. It's considered passive depreciation, so it can only offset passive income. So
Gotcha.
we're not getting able to count it against our pharmacy income.
Okay. Dude, there's so many little rules, man.
Yeah. So that's it. That's one of the big things that I guess I kind of like to touch on, and as I grow my presence in real estate and also kind of market myself and some of the services I can offer, hopefully to other, like maybe other pharmacy owners or other high paid individuals, that hey, you know what, this, you may have heard about getting this benefit, but you may not qualify, and being able to kind of shed some light on that and how we could still help maximize their benefits. Uh, so that's I think kind of my vision, looking ahead, of what I'd like to do is being able to, uh, as I grow, to help, kind of share that journey with others and prevent that little pitfall for them along the way.
Dude, have you thought about that being your workshop? Because
I have not. That's
not
that's a
many
great
people
idea.
know that, dude.
That would be good and could really attract maybe certain,
Yeah.
clientele of like other business owners or something.
Yes. You
That's a
imagine,
great
like,
idea.
hey, listen, I can help you save on your personal income by just getting your real estate license, you know, or
Well,
whatever.
there's some extra, like I said, extra requirements with it. And one of those is that basically real estate, the amount of hours you spend in real estate
Hmm.
needs to be more than any other job. So it
Yeah.
really needs to be your primary job.
Yeah.
So if it's somebody that's an owner that has some flexibility, that can say, well, hey, I'm kind of just doing some office work and I'm doing a little bit of everything, maybe some real estate, some other stuff. Well, I could kind of count this perhaps as, this office work maybe as more of my real estate time.
Dude,
But
you just gotta figure out what that the verbiage, right? Because you'd be like, it may be something like, well, you just need to change the structure of the corporation or whatever, right? And then now you're a full time real estate investor or something like that, right? There's always ways around it, legally, of course, you know,
right.
dude. But
Yeah.
that would be great for you to look into, dude. That might be freaking a solid workshop, dude. You know?
That would, I think you're right. Could be a great workshop. Definitely one I'd have to do a lot more research on to be able to present it in a good manner and make sure that I'm not saying something that's going to get anybody any legal trouble or something.
Well, also too is like you might want to get your CPA involved. Be like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
a lot of business owners, right? We can help a lot of people out, with this, you know,
Yeah.
dude.
Maybe
That
even partner with the CPA, have them come in and uh, share some of the proceeds with them, but also it helps make sure everything's done correctly. Or even if and probably they could get some referrals out of it as well.
Of course, dude. Of course. Now, the one thing I would definitely do though is I would probably talk to another CPA. Like Pace says, not all CPAs are created equal. You
Yeah.
know.
You get one who knows the ins and outs of real estate and knows, really these criteria that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing I've, like I said, they're not all created equal. I've talked to a couple, and a lot of them are saying, "Oh no, no, there's no way you can do this." That
And then you
so
find one that's like, yeah, we can do this. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. Because as we keep going down this real estate journey, that we keep kind of pivoting what we're having to do with the pharmacy. Because our first goal was we're going to find a way to cut back my hours, and I was going to pursue the real estate professional. But then as we've kind of gone through and planned more for the Everest, it just made more sense to have me focus on the pharmacy and let Michelle focus in real estate.
Yep. Yep. Dude, it
Yeah,
happens. You got to pivot. That's awesome.
yeah. So sorry, I think that actually kind of brings us back to what your question was, which is what is our Everest? And for me personally, it is to focus on the pharmacy to help grow it so we have the better systems in place so it can run smoother whether we're there or not. Make sure the team is trained better and they are empowered to handle all the day-to-day stuff. That way I can be kind of involved or as much or as little as I want to.
Yeah.
Uh, but realistically, I'd probably still be very involved. And if the more stuff I get delegated and offloaded to someone else, then hopefully I'm then on to pursuing the next opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect, dude. That's awesome. That is awesome. So you're part of Sub Two and you're part of owners. Like, what made you like say, you know what, I want to invest in my career and my knowledge into Sub Two? Like, what got you into Sub Two?
Sure. Well, so uh, as we started looking at a lot of the real estate stuff, uh, like I said, kind of got introduced with Tom Wheelwright, who brought me to Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then as I started learning more, I started following a lot of the Bigger Pockets material, and eventually that brought me over to Pace and learning some about Sub Two, and I had listened to his material for over a year, and even last summer when he released Wealth Without Cash, I bought it, read it, and I kind of thought it's like, I think I understand the book well enough, and I've listened to enough of his YouTube content that I think I could sell somebody on this. Like I could, pitch this as an option for them, and this, and they could understand it well enough that we could kind of work out this win-win scenario for us. Um, but what a couple of things that finally brought me into Sub Two, one was that we had uh, from that money we pulled out, we had used up a good chunk of it from the cash out refinance. And so we wanted to figure out, how can we continue to grow and scale, and using Sub 2 as a method for that. And then also as Pace kind of talked some about, even uh, in the Sub 2 group, and he was adding the zero down portion, talking about businesses that it's like, well, hey, if I can better learn how to uh, manage the pharmacy more efficiently, then that's also going to have great value.
Yeah.
So it's kind of really getting to get two benefits in one is trying to, still find ways to improve the pharmacy as well as grow our real estate business. That's what finally brought us in to join the Sub Two community, and it's been very good so far. People have been supportive, and then
Yeah.
Squad Up happened, and we joined Owners Club, and it's we're off and running.
So what made you go? Okay, well, I joined Sub Two. You got some benefits from it, of course, right? And then you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna invest in the owners club. The owners club is not let's just say cheap, you know, but it's definitely worth
Right.
it. Definitely worth it, hands down.
Yeah. Well, I think like so many other things, is uh, I'm in a small town, grew up here, and some people don't like the school here because it's not the best school.
Hmm.
But a lot of tell when I sometimes if I'm talking with a student, I say, well, a lot of times you get out what you put in.
Yeah.
And I think, same thing with sub two and owners club. If you want to be involved, you want to put into it, then you will be able to get a lot out of it.
Yeah. Okay. So, what would you say? How has Sub Two Owners Club? Well, we've been in Owners Club for not long, so I would say maybe like 4 months already, right? So, what would you say Sub Two has done for your real estate career? How has that impacted your real estate career, decision making, and all that?
Like specifically sub two, or just kind of the umbrella of like sub two owners club.
From Sub Two,
Okay.
like, are you underwriting? Help you underwrite deals pretty well, understanding the verbiage, right? Understanding how to structure deals and stuff like that. Like, you feel more comfortable in making decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely to a certain degree, the underwriting uh has gotten better for me. The ideas of really being, how we could help use other people's money. That was something that had been very foreign to me. And that's something I'm still working on learning more, and how to include that underwriting in with including something for like a private money partner or private money lender. But I thankfully recently had another video conference call with another member not long ago, and she was kind of helping me walk through some of that. So that's been helpful, and like you said, a lot of the verbiage, and I think just kind of opening up my tunnel vision. I kind of had the blinders of, hey, I'm going to just focus on single family homes and long-term rentals,
Yeah,
you know. And so, but now I'm seeing more possibility, a lot more different exit strategies. Like as one example, wraps. That was
yeah,
something I didn't know it even existed until getting into sub two, and uh, I went through even the little course, the Wraps 101 course that was offered, and so it really helped open my eyes to that and see a lot of possibility there that can still, uh, as we kind of touched on earlier, can help us to be very passive with some of our investing, uh, because we don't really want to get another like active fix and flip. Like we don't want to be the flippers
yeah.
ourselves because we don't have the other, time and or even experience doing that. But we're just learning of so many new opportunities and how to be able to make those offers uh, to different, whether talking about an investor or even just somebody who's willing to sell their home, or an agent who might be, bringing leads to us.
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy. Like, I mean, I've been doing real estate as a real estate agent for over 10 years. And literally, when I joined Sub 2, I was like, you can do all this stuff? Like,
Right?
raps? Like, what? What's a rap? Never heard of a rap ever in my life. But it makes so much sense, though. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it makes so much sense. I was like, what? And then knowing the different ways that of buying real estate or being a real estate investor. It's not just, okay, I'm going to buy, right? It's not just I'm going to flip, right? It's not I'm just going to buy and hold a single family or a multifamily. It's like, okay, well, you know what? I can transaction coordinate, right? And then I can possibly cherry pick some of these deals. I'm going to buy one now, right? I didn't spend any money doing any marketing or anything like that, but you're involved, right, in the
Yeah.
investment process, right? Wholesaling. Like, I didn't even know wholesaling existed either when I first joined. I'm like, huh? You can literally just assign a contract. What? Dude, it blew my mind, right? So now I've been involved in a couple of wholesale deals. I got a couple buy and holds. I'm doing a couple of pad split type deals, on my own, not necessarily pad split, right? I'm like, oh my god, all these different things, and you're literally offering value to people, right? People that
Yeah.
can't afford a $1,500 one bedroom, like they're just looking for a place to stay, a one room. They just need a room to sleep in because they're whatever for whatever reason that's where they are in their lives, you know. So it's
Right.
super cool. So, like, if you had like a newbie investor or something, would you say, hey, listen, this would be of the path that I would take, I would definitely join Sub Two, right? Would you
Yeah.
suggest that?
I mean, yeah, I think Sub 2, of course, is a fantastic community. But I think to even go a step further is I would encourage them to find somebody to do a JV with, to have some kind of joint venture, to not just be hearing it, but to really be a little more hands-on and kind of see a process start to finish. I think that's something that would be a great learning and growth opportunity.
Yeah, dude, I think we're both on the same page. I'm like, yeah, this and Sub Two is, I believe, is definitely the where you should be, right? The group actually join, but like what I tell people is like, listen, definitely JV with somebody. Go give someone value, help someone out, and trust me, they're gonna want to help you back. So like, go hunt for deals. Start cold calling for them. Start doing some underwriting for them. Right, learn how to underwrite. Be of value to this to whoever you want to work with. Right, and then you can join Sub Two. But I definitely would join. I definitely join. You know. All right, cool. So I mean, along your journey, I'm sure you've read books and stuff like that, right? Like, what books have helped you, right? Um, in, let's just say, motivation, right? Learning how to, communicate, underwriting deals and stuff like that. What has helped you, like, in your real estate career? Any books that you would recommend to people?
Yeah, there's a kind of a couple that come to my mind. One that we kind of already touched on, a common one for many of us is like the Rich Dad Poor Dad book.
My first book that I read
Yeah,
years ago. Yeah.
yeah, learning just, I think one of the biggest things there is I think it just really helps open your mind to understanding ways people get taxed, like the different cash flow quadrants, as they call it, and also the idea of, how to use debt as leverage. It doesn't mean you just go out and buy a boat with it, you know, but how can you use it to invest into your future? How can you give a gift to your future self by
Yes.
utilizing money wisely? So
Yeah.
so Rich Dad Poor Dad's a big one. Um, this other one is told in a kind of a strange way, just to be honest, but it's called The Richest Man in Babylon. I
Okay.
don't know if you ever read that one or heard about it.
I've
It's actually a
never.
pretty short book. Um, and it's basically told about this, old historical city of Babylon. And sometimes they use some like old, old style language, almost like some old English, and where they use like thou and I don't know, dust. It's just things like does your uh, wallet? And it's like dust thou purse, you know. Yeah, so they have this weird little dialect they use, and the names are kind of foreign to us, but it has just some fantastic core elements about how money works. And like as an example, a couple of the first lessons are, spend less than you make. So they say, hey, for every 10 pieces of silver you get, only spend nine, and it will start accumulating some money. And they talk about getting a budget, and they talk about, investing money. Uh, Basically some of these ideas of, getting your money to make more money for you.
Yes.
Yeah, don't just, if you have 100 pieces of silver, you don't just put it in a hiding spot to pull out later.
Yeah.
You want to generate, and even talks about generating multiple streams of money to
Yeah.
be flowing to you. Um, so I just think a lot of the concepts in there are so powerful. Uh, and in a way, it's almost like a nice blend between the extreme sides of Robert Kiyosaki and Dave Ramsey. You're kind of somewhere in the middle. It's like, hey,
Mhm.
look, here's just the essence of how money works.
Yeah.
And it talks some about debt in there. Um, but I think those two books would be the two I would go to first. Would be Rich Dad Poor Dad and The Richest Man in Babylon.
I'm gonna have to get that The Richest Man in Babylon. I've never heard of it, but I like all those things. That's cool,
Yeah.
man.
If you're like me, audiobooks usually easier than reading it.
I can't
sitting down, taking the time to do it.
I can't get into
Oh, really?
audiobooks because my mind just wanders. I'll sit there, I'll
Yeah,
listen. My mind just will just wander. At least if I'm sitting there reading it, I'm focused on it, you know? But if I sit there and I just try to listen to it, my mind will just wander onto something else, you know? So
right.
that's cool. So JJ, brother, listen, man, I appreciate it. It's been we're at that hour mark. I mean, amazing conversation. I appreciate your time, you know? So I definitely would love people to follow you on your journey, you know. So like where can people, follow you, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whichever.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. You should be able to find me at Big John Jones. So that's at big underscore John Jon underscore Jones. I'm also working on my uh, YouTube channel right now, or at least my first YouTube channel. So really trying to do a lot of kind of mindset, mentality, and kind of will be continuing to grow that. But that is at Level Up Team 24, and that's all written together. Level Up Team 24.
That's what's up, brother. Listen, man, I appreciate the time. I know you gotta go do the family thing right now. Okay, but listen, man, love talking to you. We'll chat. All right, brother.
Sounds great. Thank you.